Episode 100 and I don't know, 105 or 6, I think.
100 and something.
100 and
We're
something.
past 100. That's all we can ask for here.
Oh, I'm Maree. I'm joined, as I always am, first Thursday of the month with the fabulous Ethan from Outlaw HQ. 5th of August. How's everything down in Christchurch, my friend?
Oh, it is some of the most shockingly miserable weather. Yesterday was a glorious day. I got up to like 12 degrees. Almost made me think spring might be coming. And then, as Christchurch weather likes to do, it just dashes your hope the next day with cold, bitter rain that starts at 4 in the morning. Yeah. Classic.
Welcome to New Zealand, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're actually a bit grey. Grey is, in fact, I have to admit, the weather is reflecting my mood right at this moment.
I would never describe you as grey.
No.
Many other shades, but never grey.
No. So it's but it's all good. It is all good. Good morning, everybody. They're all pouring in. It's so good to see everyone here this morning. Oh gosh. No, I was just honestly, literally, as Ethan, I walked into the room because I had it all set up. Ethan was there and he literally walked into me going expletive. It's the sort of morning it is.
It happens.
That's right. And the reason I didn't even get a chance to tell him the reason for the expletives. So for anyone that knows me quite well, I am digitally challenged when it comes to computers. I'm not quite a boomer, but I'm at the wrong end of Gen X. Okay. So computers and I have a bit of a love-hate relationship. So we either get on fantastically well or not at all. So I loaded up our new promotion, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And so then I decided this morning, I got in and I thought, I think I wasn't very good for that. And it's because you guys are so much brighter than I am, because you realise that I was overcharging you, you see. I was overcharging you. We're doing another pack promotion, and of course I did it in my head on 10 packs, not on the 5 packs, which is how the yarn actually comes. I know, right?
Oh my God.
So fortunately you guys all cottoned on this and you realised that and didn't do it. And a few of you sent notes through this morning when you saw what I'd done.
Bless
so
you.
I then sort of went in and rechanged it all and fixed it. So that's good. And then, of course, computers are funny old things. They're like, then we had everything on my system was looking perfect, checked on other computers, everything was perfect. And then one of the girls goes, oh, well, this one's loaded at this price and this one's loaded at that price. I'm like, well, that's not what's showing on my computer. And it's because browser histories do funny things. Anyway.
It doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't. It's crazy. So what I'm talking about is because Can obviously is this month.
I know what you're talking about.
I know. It means you and I, the band gets back together. I'm really excited. You, me, Deborah, we're all going to be together.
It's honestly just like, it feels like we just planned a party for all of us. And I think the rest of us are just like chomping at the bit.
And I'm really, 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 really excited for this year, because there are lots of people coming to Can for the first time, which for me, yay, huge yay. I'm really excited about having loads of new people, which is wonderful. And also a load of my absolute favourites from previous years are going to be there, friends that, that we adore each other, but also too, it is going to be the biggest collection of wonderful, joyous, happy people.
Yeah.
And
me.
Yeah, and you. I was thinking about it last night. I actually said this to a friend last week. We were out and I said to her, you know what? I am so over. I mean, I can be a grumpy old woman with the best of them, but I'm so over people just being so curmudgeonly about shit they can't control, and world. It's just,
I'm just too tired.
Yeah, it's just like,
I don't know about the rest of you, but like, I know. Tired.
And they're like joy eaters. They just
I call them fun suckers.
Yeah. Yes. I'm over them.
Yeah,
I'm so sick of them. And so that's the nice thing about Knit Nights this year is that there's not going to be any of those there. Yay.
It's
So
just
happy about that. It's just going to be so fabulous. And it's about bringing some happiness and some joy in the fun, which is why when we did the promotion that we're doing for the next week, we're starting our can month off with our classic paint books collection, which is Cozy and Snug and 4 Pie and DK. And if I hold this up to you, these colours, what does that say to you?
I don't know if this is appropriate, but it makes me think of like old school painting, like Bob Ross painting class.
Yeah, no, crazy finger painting, right? Like painting, and that's what it looks like, right?
Yeah, I don't want to go so far as to say Crayola, but like it feels like something that Bob Ross would pull up. It'd be great.
So I am so glad that you mentioned this. So, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's try this one. There we go. We'll do that. That'll work for us. So then this, of course, then brings me to
the painting chevrons and painting bricks and all of those beautiful ones.
Exactly. And so
Senor West.
I know. So right, I pulled up
how he goes, right?
Exactly. And so when I pulled these up today, I hadn't realised, because I know I don't keep up with him as quickly as often as you do, right? But I hadn't realised. So the painting blocks and the painting chevrons, I was all over those. I knew about those, but there's painting waves, and then there's this painting honeycombs. Have you seen the painting
honeycombs jacket? Is really cool. We actually have a sample in the shop.
Well, and this is the one that leapt out to me. Now,
it's perfect.
I know, right?
You've got all the colors right there for it.
Everything. I mean, he's got white in there. Now, we don't have white in this range, but we do have.
White is overrated.
Yeah, but we do have, so if you want to go cream, we've got Southlander cream.
There we go.
Or we've got white and Perrindale. But also, too, anything in that painting collection, if we haven't got it in the Cozy and the Snug, the beautiful thing is Cozy is spun to the same count as Little Bandit, and Snug is spun to the same count as Bandit.
There we go.
There we go. And it just means that if we were wanting to do, let me jump out of here. If you're wanting to do something a little bit more subtle, I mean, well, let's pull up the painting sweater, right? I've seen some really fabulous examples of the sweater.
Yes.
And
I actually know, what is that lovely gentleman's name that we saw at Capital Fiber Fest? Doesn't he have?
Guy. Yeah.
Guy.
Yeah. Guy's done a gorgeous one. I think he did his in Flight and Pulse. I've got a funny feeling. Yeah, and it was, Guy's got a fabulous one. But this is just wonderful because you've got like the sort of rainbow colours, but he's got a couple of other subtle colours layered in there. And you could fill the gaps with Bandit if you needed to.
Absolutely. Bandit is everybody's friend.
Yeah, exactly.
And the stop for 5 minutes, so get it now.
Yeah, so it's so that's been my morning, is trying to get all that up. So I have just gone and put out a newsletter to everybody. If all I have to say, if the pricing looks funky, funky on your screen, that should be $5.95 for single balls, $25 for packs. If it does not appear as that, either close your browser right down and reopen it, or even better again, close your device right down and reopen it, because that's the thing. It just freaking internet browsers do my Gen X head. It blows my little Gen X head apart. So it's just a bit much for me, to be honest.
23, everyone. We got that.
I know, right? Oh gosh, everyone is here this morning. It is so
cool crew.
Well, yeah, and the neat thing is we've got Lynn and Sue here, and they're going to be trading at Can.
What?
Very excited about that. Okay, right, enough of that hoo-ha. What have you got on your needles? I see you knitting.
Oh my God.
Come on.
This is like so unexciting looking at the moment. So as everyone probably knows, I'm making a 4 cardigan plan of attack for Can.
Yeah.
So I have 2 done. 2 are finished.
Yes.
So I have my no frills cardigan for day 1.
Which look fabulous.
Thank you. I love it. Which is going to be comfy and just whooshing around while we're getting everything set up. I needed something to throw on and throw off, right? So my whole point with this, everybody who's watching from home, for doing 4 cardigans for Can is A, I have a problem. B, the only solution to my problem is more cardigans. C, I literally actually do. Maree can tell you, literally every time we're together, I'm like, I need to knit a cardigan. And then she's like, well, what are you knitting right now? It's inevitably another pullover. It's a serious illness I suffer from. So the situation that we're going to be going with here is, my goal was to give you guys a look at 4 very different cardigans that are entirely wildly not connected to each other, so that you could have an idea of one of the things I like to talk about, which is building a knitted wardrobe, which is figuring out all the different components you need to put together. So it goes kind of hand in hand with Libby's idea of the wardrobe toolbox, where she'll teach you the skills and tricks to get the best garments. My goal is to always get people thinking about what they can knit next for themselves, because knitting for others is overrated. Yeah. So cardigan 2 is the Channel cardigan by Jared Flood, which is all finished. Maree has already seen it. It has a belt. It's a serious situation.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Cardigan 3 is 98% completed. So I am actually taking a little break from it before I keep going to work on cardigan number 4, which is what I was knitting moments ago. But just a little preview of cardigan 3, which just needs some button bands and a little bit of seaming left. So this
and just to make you so disgusting, because I know that you did a Redfield sweater in between the cardigans to frills.
I did indeed. So this is number 3. It's a rose cardigan by Andrea Maree. Now, Andrea and I don't always get on pattern-wise because I have very different taste, but this pattern of hers, oftentimes what I like to tell people is, if there's a designer whose stuff doesn't work for you, look for their outlier patterns. And by outlier patterns, I mean patterns that have a different construction, different technique, or different methodology than what they would normally design, right? So when we're thinking about people, Caitlin Hunter comes to mind, who's designed many patterns people have made, but the Nilchnik Swancho that Maree is wearing right now is an outlier. And Caitlin sings, and it works the best. Oftentimes when people push their comfort zones, they come up with different ideas and approaches. So this is an unusual garment for Andrea, as it's not knit top down. It's knit side to side. It has fully seamed construction with these beautiful exposed seam details along the top shoulder that help to define and give structure to the whole garment. So one of the things with Andrea is she likes a lot of volume in her garments. And a lot of volume is not always flattering on all body types. If you are a telegraph pole like yours truly, being draped in a sack makes you look elegant and like you're ready to be whisked away on some sort of adventure like Grace Kelly. However, I know that sometimes extra fabric is just extra fabric on some body types. And also it can be really uncomfortable because it gets caught on stuff. But this one, because it has structure and shape, actually drapes properly. So even with it not being blocked, you can see how when you have something inside of it, it hangs straight down from that batwing arm, which means it'll actually give you a lovely final shape. Now,
and also too, I like the very narrow forearms there as well.
And I rolled the cuff back just for the sake of convenience because I was weaving in the ends on them yesterday. So, but it has this great wide, giant double batwing shape to it. It's really easy knitting. I have to say, this is not complicated. It's just stockinette.
Talk us through, because that looks like hedgehog fibers to me.
It is.
So talk me through your fading that you've done there. Talk me through that.
I decided to knit this exactly as written for once, although I added a little bit of length, just as a side note, everyone. So I have a theory of fading that involves carrying the dominant color of your first thing to one of the least dominant colors of your last thing and linking all of the colors in the fade, not by their main color, but by their speckle. So a lot of times when you're looking at fades that various hand dyers and indie dyers put together as sets for sale, the mistake that they make where you end up with those very stripy transitions are not because they haven't thought through the main colors of the yarns, which are often quite complementary or of different shades. They have not speckled appropriately inside of each one to create cohesive transitions. It's the speckles that make your fade. It's not the main color. So to that point, with this one, throughout all of the pieces, there are the same 3 main speckle colors: bright yellow, bright orange, bright blue. And it carries from one to another. So we started off with Wild Card, which is one of the most aggressive colorways in the entire spectrum. And I followed basically the advice of Bintu, who's known as Nappy Knitter on Ravelry. And she did one of the original fade kits from La Bien-Aimée, where she started with a bright color and faded out to a speckled neutral. So with that in mind, I took logical jumps of shade and tone, relating each color to the one next to it and each color to the one 2 down from it. So your color relation needs to work in 2 ways. It needs to work with the ones directly on either side and with the ones 2 down. So that means your second color and 4th color need to be quite related. And your first color and 3rd color need to be related. And they do need to relate to each other, but not as much as they need to relate to the one after. So if I fold this along this line, so I can hold Sorbet and Zephyr next to each other, you can see that you could easily fade Sorbet into Zephyr as well, right? And the same goes with Wild Card and Piggy Bank when you hold them up next to each other, like so. But because they all share that common speckle and common things together, you can fade from Wild Card to Sorbet and then into Piggy Bank, which has a color that none of the others have in that rich green tone throughout, and then finally into Zephyr without losing a single hint of each color, but still moving it from next color to next. And that's kind of the big, deep thing that I think people miss when we're discussing speckling and fading. And I really thought for a while that speckles and fades would be like an of the moment thing. They would come and go because I've seen a lot of trends come and go in knitting over the years. Hello, eyelash yarn. Let's all have a brief moment of silence for that finally ended. Yikes. No, thank you, 1982. But when we look at this, I think this actually has produced, even though it's bright and vivid, a classic wearable garment. Because I've followed the traditional rules of knitting colors, just like I would if I was building color work in a Fair Isle sweater, except I've applied that theory to a fade. And you can see, because this one's great because it fades in and out on both sides, that the fade, even though I've worked from different balls of yarn, is actually identical and cohesive despite different balls of yarn being used.
And I mean, one of the ways that Stephen West works around that, of course, is that he likes to marl everything. So the marling effect has that. But see, that's the thing. I mean, with speckles, I think sometimes you struggle to know what to do with them. And that's the second you held that up, I thought, I know, I knew, yes. And I think, thank you so much for walking us through that, because that's just it. It's about how do you create something that doesn't look clownish. And I think that's the problem with speckles, is you can get to that clown place and then you just don't feel comfortable.
There are some dyers in New Zealand who shall remain unnamed who specialize in what I like to call clown barf. And what that is it's a non-tactical application of color to the yarns, and it is a lack of cohesion amongst their entire collection. When you look at a dyer like Hedgehog Fibers, Beata has created colorways that stack together, and she also uses common speckles amongst all of her bases. So when I say that, I mean that for the most part, with colors in the Hedgehog rainbow, if you will, which includes about 55 total colors in speckles, and I think another 20 in semi-solids, you end up with a huge palette to work from, which is why I say with a fade from certain dyers, you can work from any color to any other color. It just depends how many steps you put in between. And another thing to think about too is fading with stuff like if you have a bunch of pulse sitting in your stash, some of those pulse colors have shades in common from one to another. So you can fade between different pulse colors as well, using the same sort of thing.
So Ripple and Sway are the two that do that. Quake and Tempo are the other two that do that. Flow, which is the sold out one, but it is coming back in, that will often do that. And it does make a huge difference. And a number of you who have done the shift cowl or shift cardigans using that have found that really well. And they're saying we're frozen. That's interesting.
Oh, you don't appear frozen to me.
I'm not frozen, but it's just come up in the comments as frozen. If anyone that's come up on Facebook. If anyone is on YouTube, if we're frozen, let me know, or not frozen, let me know.
And for everyone, sorry, I believe I was going to say, I don't want to be one of those people on the internet who's like, for everyone asking, I'm making this size. But someone did ask, I am making a medium. And hers.
Oh, we're back. Here we go. Working for me. No, I can see you. Thanks, Cuz. Back again. Right. So you were making a.
I was watching this from the other room. she's right out there.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Now you're making medium. Medium?
I'm making a medium. Yeah. And I have pretty much followed the pattern to the letter for once. Also because it's actually a pretty good pattern.
Yeah.
You know?
Great.
And
it was this too with the Outliers. Like I'd looked at Caitlin's stuff, but this was the one that was like, okay, this is not like anything else she's done before. And
Outliers almost always work. That's always been my message for people who are prolific designers, right? Like, and then there are designers whose entire bodies of work are a collection of outliers. Hello, Olga. Where it's like, what are you doing? Although I did have a great session with someone yesterday talking about how Olga's experimental work often transfers into future garment designs, where she does experimental accessories and then she takes those techniques. So one of my favorites from her is the Boko Boko cowl, which has a ton of little points on it.
Yeah.
And the
she
Boko
loves
Boko,
stacking shapes on each other. You know, that's a big thing with her.
I love it. It's very like brutalist knitting.
Yeah.
Can we call it brutalist? For those of you not familiar, brutalist architecture is a thing, but brutalist knitting is an Olga thing. She's taken a very there is a beauty in some Soviet architecture, and she's taken that idea of repetition and form, and she's turned it into a knitting style.
So for people so if you want to put that in a New Zealand context, you know that 1970s government building that is in every single provincial town in this country. So, you know, and it'll be generally the broadcasting building or the police building. I'm from Gisborne. There is a whole million of those buildings. And